So often when we meet pain within ourselves, when we come into contact with something that feels uncomfortable, or we just feel a heart wall, we automatically assume that something is wrong, that this isn't right, that something bad is happening or is here. The mind just automatically assigns that experience, any sensation of pain or discomfort, as wrongness. But as we open the heart and we open to the infinite light, grace, abundance, divinity that can be accessed at the center, the back, in the seat of the heart, however you want to point to it with words. Ram Dass calls it the center. I call it the God seat. It's where I meet God within my being. For me, it resides right at the back of the heart, where the spine is. There is a light that emanates there. And the more we open to this light, the more our experience of what pain is starts to transform. So let me explain. So when we're locked out of the heart space, when the heart's closed, when we feel outside of the embrace of love, we view pain as a sign of wrongness. Something bad is happening. This shouldn't be happening. There's resistance often. There's a reaction or a response that wants to, push away, tends to have aversion to pain. We often misunderstand what the pain is signaling to us. Now, there are two paths. One goes up, one goes on. I haven't got a clue where I'm going. We'll just keep walking. So, over the years, as I have dove more deeply into my heart cave, something started to occur that I found very intriguing. I started to realize that pain is one side of the same coin as, I don't want to say pleasure because it's not pleasure, bliss, rapture, joy. You could say that they're sort of forms of pleasure, but it's beyond just sort of our sort of more base level understanding of pleasure. Something started to occur where whenever I was meeting pain within myself, I really need to pay attention to where I'm going because I don't think this is the path to the viewpoint, but it's a path, so I don't know where I am. I'm somewhere in the south of France. It's a beautiful day. We're just walking and talking. So I started to recognize, and I spoke about this in a video probably sort of 4 or 5 videos ago. I started to notice that there was almost like a split in my consciousness where one aspect of me, I feel this in my front body energetically, is experiencing separation and the pain of that, feeling outside of the embrace of love. The way that I experience God's presence and divine grace is from the back side, the back body. And energetically, it's like a tsunami of light. It streams up Sushumna, the central channel of my spine, and it's entering the back body with just this sort of beautiful, purifying, white diamond grace. And the more I opened to this back body grace and divine presence, the more I started to understand what the pain was communicating to me. The pain wasn't there because something else was wrong. And let's put this in some context. If, like me, you've spent a lot of your life really heavily conditioned, You've spent a lot of your life in states of separation, forgetfulness, trauma, feeling very trauma entrenched, in a lot of fear, carrying a lot of emotional density, anxiety, depression, suicidal ideation. Then when we are so entrenched in those states, when we are so identified with living in that way, we sort of almost prepare ourselves to be experiencing more pain. So when some sensation comes that's uncomfortable or unfamiliar, we automatically assume, oh gosh, something else is coming up. More pain, more pain. But what I started to discover was that this grace was unveiling the truth of the pain I was feeling. And the pain wasn't present because something was wrong, that there was something else going on, another trauma I had to face within myself, another horrible incident that I had to process from my childhood. It was present, and it is present, because it's signaling that there is so much love here. There is so much light here. There is so much grace here. There is so much joy here that I am in this moment closing myself off from and not opening to. So, front body, you could say that that's the egoic nature that I'm experiencing, this sense of like, oh, pain, I don't want it, oh, resistance, right? And then if I move into the back body, if I bring my awareness into the back body, I'm being bathed in grace. And the way I could sort of describe it with imagery is almost like all this grace is wanting to bang down the doors in my heart, and it's like knocking, thumping on these doors saying, let me in, let me in. You don't have to suffer. You don't need to be in a state of separation. Love is here, open to me. So the pain is actually present because we are resisting the force of love that wants to move through us. When I started to realize this, I realized how much my conditioning wouldn't allow me to open to the good, and the good, in kind of theological terms, the good is another word for God, wouldn't allow me to open to this grace because I'd spent so much of my life entrenched in suffering, separation, fear-based conditioning that I had become so set in that groove that that's all I was capable of feeling, that I could not believe how much love, how much light, how much grace and divinity, abundance, joy was moving through me, to me, around me, in me. It's still a process that I am unraveling within myself because there's still these kind of deep-seated guards that do not feel it's safe to be experiencing pleasure. When pain is the set point, pleasure feels unsafe, even if the pain is fucking painful. Pleasure feels unfamiliar, pleasure feels unsafe. And I'm speaking about the pleasure within the context of what I said earlier, not just base level pleasure. I mean, like your heart is bursting open and you're remembering who you truly are kind of pleasure. So this feels really important to share because we think on this journey we're kind of being left out in the cold, you know, there's a lot of work to open the heart, there's a lot of work to awaken. The inner work and the alchemical process of transforming that which has been dense and unconscious and in darkness and bringing it back into the fold of love, bringing it back into the light of awareness. This is not an easy process. So it's not an easy process, especially because we are transmuting not only our own lived experience of life on earth in a human body from this incarnation and timeline, but the soul carries the memories and the imprints of many incarnations on earth when there has been pain. And we're also at a sort of epigenetic DNA-based level, we're also carrying the coding of the pain and the experiences of our ancestry that this body vehicle remembers. So yes, we've got a lot to transmute at this time on earth, a lot to face. And so it's kind of natural that we don't immediately assume that when we're meeting pain, we're actually meeting a threshold of immense love and joy and bliss and ecstasy. We just register it as more pain. But it's all about perspective. I can either observe my pain from the egoic self and from the self that feels a sense of separation, or I can observe this pain from the space of grace and love within me, around me, through me, and recognize that the pain is simply signaling, Natasha, you are resisting like a dam trying to bar and hold back a tremendous amount of water. You are resisting something divine that's here, and it's time to open. And the pain you're experiencing is like that dam that's about to break, and there's so much tension because the force of water that it's trying to bar access to flowing forwards is immense. And that tension, of course, creates a sense of contraction, a sense of discomfort. This is what, at the deepest level, our pain is communicating to us. It doesn't matter what. This is absolutely stunning, by the way. Just got to show you the path. Gosh, France has really captured me. So gorgeous. The French people are great. Definitely going to be moving here. So long, England. Anyway, this is what our pain is trying to communicate to us. Isn't this remarkable? Isn't it remarkable that all this time we've been thinking we're in pain just because it's pain, and just because life is heavy and it's dense and there's just more stuff to alchemize, when the deepest invitation of our pain is you are actually resisting the amount of love that's here. You are resisting opening to your true nature. That is why you're in pain. So I'm going to give you an example. Maybe I'll take a little seat for a moment. This gorgeous spot. I'm going to give you an example. Last year I was traveling with my ex-fiance and we were in Thailand in April or May. And through our connection, my heart was opening. And this is the gift of being on a twin flame templated path. Twin flame is not about a specific person. It is about opening to the union within yourself of God, Goddess, opening your heart to unconditional love, remembering your divine nature. I've been on this journey for about 7 years, and it is not about one person. It is about remembering and recognizing that love exists within you, that it's your true nature and birthright, and that every single person you encounter is simply helping you remember that and awaken that, potentially on the path of twin flame. So we were in Thailand, and my heart was opening. His wasn't to the same degree, and I sensed that. But my heart was opening. And one evening I was sat in a restaurant. I was on this beanbag. It was a beautiful clear night sky. I was on Koh Phangan Island, and I was looking up at a moon. I think it was a full moon, a moon, as though there were multiple. Well, I was looking up at the moon, And yeah, it was this beautiful full moon burgeoning in the sky. And I kind of had this almost kind of like prophetic knowing in that moment that the relationship wouldn't last, that I just had this sense that I'm going to, quote unquote, lose this man, that this love won't last, or the love being reflected to me in this form won't last. But what was coming through my heart was, that's okay, because I have already experienced the gift of this connection, and that is that it is opening me to this love within me, this love that has never existed outside of me, this love that has been here all along. It's reminding me that it's here, and that's worth the price of losing this love, of losing this man in my life as my lover. It's worth that. Brené Brown is a vulnerability researcher. You've probably heard about her if you're in the development, self-development or spiritual space. And in A Call to Courage, which is one of her famous talks, she speaks about how in really to really live life, we've got to be in the ring. We've got to be in the ring of life. And that means living with our hearts open, and really going for it in life. Why does she describe it like being in the ring? Because we can get KO'd by life. When our hearts are open, not only do we run the risk of getting KO'd and experiencing immense pain and heartbreak, but the gift and the beauty of it is that we have the opportunity to experience and open to profound love. And if you're not in the ring of life, if you're standing watching from the outskirts, that means your heart's closed. That's the kind of analogy. If your heart's closed, yeah, sure, you're not going to get hurt, but you're damn well not going to feel the depths and breadths of love. And what is a life without learning and really feeling what the depths and breadths of love is? That, to me, that's not a life worth living. And in that moment when I was watching the night sky, I really started to recognize, because initially I had sensed this sensation within me, building with me, this tension, this contraction, and I'd registered it as pain. And this was when this sort of pain, pleasure / ecstasy split, or two sides of the same coin, started to become apparent to me, that I'm not just in pain, that I am actually on the threshold of experiencing such immense love that my system, my egoic nature, doesn't know how to open to, doesn't know how to handle. And when I allowed myself to open to it, I was just being bathed in this love, and I had this gnosis that I will lose the reflection of this love in the form of this man, and that it will be worth it, because through this connection I've opened, and this moment to get to reclaim this love within me, the pain is worth it. And fucking hell was it painful letting go of this connection. Oh my goodness me. Oh gosh, it's been absolutely devastating for me. I think his heart closed quite a while before mine did, and he sort of bowed out in his own way. But my heart was wide fucking open. And so yeah, I got KO'd when the connection dissolved. And I could cry. I think this is a beautiful demonstration of what I'm speaking about. Why am I crying? Why do I want to cry? Is it because I'm in pain that I've lost the reflection of this love in the form of my ex-partner? Maybe, but it's also because there's been such love that's been awakened within me. And grief is like a testimony of this. Grief is a very similar phenomenon. Any pain we experience is showing us this. We could register grief as, I've lost something. There is scarcity, there is lack, love is gone. That's how most people register grief. The way I have come to work with grief and understand grief is I have loved so fully. And the reflection or the being that animated, that was the animation, or perhaps the projection of my love, I was projecting this love onto them, and I was experiencing the love through our interaction, that form has dissolved. But my love is a legacy of how much I opened, how much I got to experience that being and their beauty. So it really does come back down to perspective, how you choose to experience what you're experiencing. There is always a more exalted space of awareness that we can access. We can choose to observe what we're experiencing from contraction, separation. We're out in the cold. I'm outside of the embrace of love. I'm alone. I'm isolated. I've been forgotten by God. I've been abandoned by God. Or just play with the possibility of opening to the fact that the pain is there because the love that is ever present, infinite, and a bountiful source of joy, ecstasy, bliss, love, grace, compassion, divine holding, that is your birthright, that exists within you, is being barred. So within those moments, we let ourselves breathe and we soften into the space of the heart. We let ourselves feel, and we really start to get honest about, what am I barring within myself? What am I barring within myself? Because every layer of pain, let's say this is love, right? Love is here, emanating from inside of us. I mean, from a kind of physics perspective, or, not exactly accurate, but let's say it's in the center of me, right? This light is emanating from the center of me, this light of love. But my pain is all of these walls and boundaries around that love. So that light isn't shining. I'm not able to access it. So every single time I'm meeting a wall or a guard of my pain, on one side, on the outside, I'm meeting a wall of pain. But from the perspective of the love within me, I'm about to open to more of my true nature, where there is no sense of scarcity, there is no sense of lack, there is no sense of loss, there is only love. And so remembering this and orientating towards this can be a wonderful way when we are meeting walls within ourselves, guards within ourselves, places that feel stubborn, stuck, resistant. It's remembering that meeting this pain is not in vain. That every single heart wall we dissolve, every single barrier within ourselves that we choose to let go, that we melt, that we release, every hardened place within us that we soften, is bringing us closer to the embodiment of love that we truly are. And I continue to be astounded by all that has been here all along that I thought I was going to live without. I never in my wildest dreams imagined that this level of love existed within me, exists within all of us, is the nature, the foundation, the fabric from which we are born and to which we return. There is so much beauty, so much exaltation in remembering and recognizing this. And now our task becomes, when we start to open the heart and remember this, allowing ourselves to open to it. When we've been entrenched in a way of being that is one based in scarcity and lack, I'm finding it actually tremendously difficult to let myself open to a different way, the way of love. To let love and abundance and overflow and pleasure and joy be my set point, and not misery, not pessimism, not cup half empty, not I'm going to be disappointed and I've got to brace myself for that, which is the way of my childhood, and the way of the conditioning of the people around me when I was younger, and the kind of general mentality that I was brought up in, the kind of societal mentality. It's not one of openness and receptivity to the divine. It's a closed state that most people are living in. But if we have the courage to let go of that, it's safe, it's familiar, but it's an absolute cage for our soul. If we have the courage to let go of that and choose, no, I choose a radically different way. I choose a way that honors the soul. I choose to know and trust and have great faith in the fact that there is more available to me and all of humanity. And let me tell you, there is. There is so much more. And I know I'm only just scraping the surface. There is so much more. And this is why we do the spiritual work. This is why we do the inner work, to unlock the treasure within ourselves that has been buried under millennia of conditioning and programming and pain, the pain of separation, the pain of trauma, the pain of identifying with a separate self, a self that has been discarded by God, that has been thrown out of the Garden of Eden, that has been cast out of belonging. All of these lies. The Garden of Eden, the kingdom of heaven, resides within you. You were never cast out. You were never exiled. Only by your own adherence to and loyalty to an idea of separation. That is the only thing that exiles you from this love. Reclaim your power and remember that the choice to return to the Garden of Eden, to reside within the kingdom of heaven, it really rests with you. Sending you so much love, peace, and joy from this beautiful valley in the south of France. And I'll see you again in the next transmission.